Hi there, this is Katie. I got cut off because I'd forgotten to delete a previous video, so there wasn't enough storage on here. But I'm just going to continue venting my anger from where I left off. This really is for me. I'm not really talking about tools, I'm just venting. I was talking about my mother. Also, again, pardon the noise. My upstairs neighbors are still making some noise. I don't think it was too bad in the last video, but it just started up again. So, narcissistic mother. Yeah, let's see. Horrible things that she did. We're not even going to go into the worst traumas. Let's see. I caught her sitting on the toilet when I was 6, I believe, reading my diary with a giant sadistic smile. That was great. She kept her sex toys in my little Polly Pocket doll case from when I was a child. I discovered as a teenager. Naturally, I was looking under her bed to see if she kept her Xanax there, because I was trying to blot it all away. I found that instead. Yeah, you know that phrase, right in the childhood? I was a teenager at that point, but still. Right in the heart and soul, my little doll case, full of sex toys. It's pretty sick, and yes, she was sexually abusing me. Completely and totally. Not just covert. But the covert incest is a subject in itself. Her pathological jealousy towards my father and me for him sexually abusing me. Apparently I was a slut as an infant, and I made him abuse me by seducing him. I don't think she believed I seduced her, though, when she sexually abused me when I was an infant herself. She was probably just venting anger. And I don't think she could even rationalize what she did because she wouldn't admit that it happened. Oh, but she wouldn't admit that my father actually abused me either to my front personalities. Those memories are from dissociative parts of me that have since integrated. Of her talking and blaming me for my father's sexual abuse. On the surface, she continued to tell me I was insane and had made it all up. And what was her phrase? She said she was flabbergasted. She was flabbergasted when I tried to talk to her about the sexual abuse from my father as an adult, when I was newly breaking free from her control. And my memories had no basis in reality. And the extremely early childhood memory that I told her about, that I had consistently told her about my entire childhood, that I'd always retained, that I believed was from infancy, I heard music coming from a neighbor. Another thing that makes me angry. Only when I'm trying to record my videos and I'm triggered by it and concerned about other people's safety. I can usually deal with the music. They occasionally play, but right now, don't want to deal with it. Okay, looks like it's not a problem. We're gonna keep going. Yes, to my front personalities, those early childhood memories, she told me, were impossible. Apparently it's impossible to remember things from when you're an infant. Yes, most people don't appear to retain that memory. I, however, was trained to have an eidetic memory, a photographic memory, and dissociatively view from infancy in MKULTRA. And I believe that in the case of MKULTRA, having photographic memories from infancy is by no means impossible. But of course, in her mind, MKULTRA never happened. Apparently my entire childhood didn't happen because most of what I remember happening, she consistently has told me never happened. Like, I can only think of a handful of memories that would be acceptable to her as having happened. And then my question is, well, where did the rest of the time go? I guess most of my life just didn't happen. Because it certainly didn't happen the way that she said it did. It did not happen the way she remembers it. So-called remembers. Because I think she knows. I think she knows the truth. I know that there are absolutely parents who have survived trauma-based mind control, who are good, decent people, who are enslaved, who are victims, and whose children do get programmed while they are under their parents' care, but it is not actually their parents' fault. I know that there are victims of this stuff well into adulthood. My mother, however, I do not believe is one. I believe that my mother is a covert narcissist, and I speak harshly about her because I feel that it is deserved. There are people who I work extremely hard to be understanding about, people I knew from there, who did things under programming that were very fucked up. But I believe that they were victims and that they were, again, under programming. And so I try to give them that grace. I've come to the conclusion that my mother has no soul. That whatever you call humanity, the empathy that we call humanness, it isn't there. She played the victim and played the victim and played the victim. She tried so hard to convince me that everyone else was against me and that she was the only one who ever really cared about me. But then when she would beat me and rape me and torture me and sell me and program me, I was told those things didn't happen and to forget. I was told that anytime she ever did was anything less than a perfect mother, it wasn't real. And then there were those times when she would, weirdly enough, acknowledge her behavior, but only insofar as she could then use manipulation to cover it up. When she was cornered, like a good narcissist, and knew there was no choice but to admit what she had done, she would, but she would very quickly cover it up and twist it into something else. And again, all the egregious sins, the sexual abuse, the torture, and the child slavery, the trafficking, those things she would never admit to. Those things, quote unquote, never happened in her eyes. And yet there's been times when I know that she knows, when I know that she's not dissociative, and I've known that she remembered, that she knew, and could see it in her eyes and hear it in her voice. She would let something slip, She would say, something about how she'd done, I've just done so many horrible things to you. And I knew when she said horrible, she didn't just mean those few little things she would admit to, She meant the real shit that she did. And she knew what she did. But you question her about it, I question her about it, there's nowhere to go from there. No acknowledgement. The last time I contacted her, I confronted her deeply. I told her what I remembered. I brought up MKULTRA. I brought up the rape. I brought it up. I told her what I knew. And I shamed her. I more questioned her than anything. Yeah, there was a shaming attitude. There was anger, but it was more, why did you do that? Why? For drugs, for money, for power? Why? And all she did, she ignored the entire message and she just texted back telling me she'd really like to help me or something like that. And what could she do? Please let me help you or something like that. And I never replied and I haven't spoken to her since, as far as I know. That was well over a year ago, I think. But I hate her. I truly, deeply hate her. I have a lot to say about my father and a lot of resentment towards him, but it doesn't compare to my anger towards my mother. I have reason to believe that my father may have actually had something good in him. Or at least if he was pathologically evil and insane, it was less insidious than my mother. I try not to demonize people, I really do, but God, I will never forget her telling me to put a paper bag over my head if I walk down the stairs in front of her piano students so that they don't see my ugly face, so that they don't know what a dyke of a daughter she has. Her confining me to my room for long periods of time while she taught piano so so that they wouldn't see me after I cut my hair short, so that her students wouldn't know she had a lesbian daughter. Never mind that I identified as trans. You know? She continued to treat me like I was gay and then be homophobic. She was so transphobic, my transness didn't even exist. I was just gay, and my gayness was bad. I believe in forgiveness because it saves your own soul. And not in any Christian sense. I mean, it saves you from your own suffering. It saves you from the real day-to-day pain in this waking life of suffering with your pain and anger. It's not about the other person. If the person deserves your forgiveness, then it can be. But if there's no way to wrap your mind around ever giving your forgiveness as a gift to someone else, but you can at least understand why letting go of your anger might serve you, then it has value. That's how I see it. I want to let go of my rage towards my mother so that I can be healthy and functional. I need not ever speak to her, and she need not ever benefit from it. I really don't care. I don't care if that woman benefits or not from my forgiveness in whatever way I achieve it. I just want it for myself so that I can be free. And you know how I get that forgiveness? I work through the pain. Right now I feel gut-wrenching pain in my heart and stomach. My chest hurts. I feel the jabs. I feel the jab of when she lifted up my shirt when I was a teenager and had anorexia and laughed at me and pointed at my stomach and said, "You're not thin," and walked away. The jab when we came back from a therapy session with a planted psychiatrist. It was in the network, of course. And she starts in a mocking tone, insisting that we go get me something to eat. How about Jack in the Box? How about McDonald's? Knowing how triggering that would be for me, knowing that I would throw it right back up if I ate it because I was so thin. I had not eaten in so long. You know, the jab of being told at a Christmas dinner, or no, it wasn't Christmas, it was a birthday. There was another incident around Christmas time with another family member along those lines that I was recalling. The jab at like a birthday dinner of some kind. We were at an Italian restaurant, and I finally felt able to start eating for me. Not because of my mother, but because of me. And I ordered a Caesar salad, and I was so proud. And I believe it was her who told me to watch what I was eating, not eat so much. I might get fat. Meanwhile, I'm still extremely underweight. And I say I believe it was her because now that I think about it, I don't remember it too well, and I was dissociated, and I know that someone said that because I remember the aftermath of it, and I believe it was her. But, you know, I had other family that would have said something similar too. You know, I went outside, you know, and my cousin, who is a genuinely good person, came out there to comfort me. But did anybody else? Fuck no. Not in that family. No, my cousins are good people. Good people. But I don't got that much to say about the adults. There's one on that side who's not blood related to me, who I do not wish to judge. But my mother's biological family, her nuclear family. Now that I think about it, I'm probably not feeling any warmth around any of those people because the one member of her family, biological, that I do actually like in her nuclear family probably wasn't there because the family didn't really like to take him out in public because he didn't quite look, you know, aristocratic enough. I have a really eccentric uncle from that side of the family. And for his safety, I don't want to say too much about him. I have no idea where he's at or what's going on with him. Last I knew, he was still stuck in it with those people. But to you, my dear uncle, if you ever know who you are in this video, if you ever wake up and recognize I'm talking about you, if you ever somehow see this, please know I love you and I'm here for you, and you can contact me anytime if you want to get free. So I did have one good one, but in that memory, I doubt he was there. Because like I said, my family didn't like to take him out in public because of the way he looked. Because I had that kind of family. So I'm rambling, I'm going on, I'm just venting. This is my therapy. This is just a video for me. If anyone relates to this and hears all this and benefits from it, I think that's great. But this is for myself. So talking about my mother and the jabs and the pain in my heart, I was remembering the stuff around my anorexia from when I was 16, 17. I was brutal. My mother was literally trying to kill me. You know, making those kinds of comments is like telling a junkie who's dying of a heroin addiction, please shoot up more dope. You're not dying fast enough. I don't think you're high enough, you know? You're not a real junkie. You haven't shot enough heroin.